Now, if you're a regular to this YouTube channel, you'd have heard me say this a million times already. So today we're going to add one more to the counter and we're going to say it again. I am an absolute sucker for realism in sim racing, especially with how high the entry bar is for this sport. The closest thing we can get to doing this sport is sitting in our bedrooms or spare rooms in a racing simulator. So anyway, sticking with the topic of realism, I have my lovely Fanatec wheel, as some of you guys would have seen this in some of my streams or in some of my content. But yeah, I have this lovely Fanatec Formula wheel, and unfortunately, it doesn't provide the best realism for one thing and one thing only. It is a great wheel, I can definitely recommend it, but I am missing clutch paddles. Now, for those that don't know, in most of the hypercars, prototypes, and even some of the sports cars like Porsches, they have clutch paddles here rather than clutch pedals where your feet would be. So this is how you kind of get the car moving and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I bought this wheel and it didn't have these attached, and I can go to the Fanatec website and buy some, but I don't really fancy paying Fanatec prices. So the kind people over at Simube have sent us their lovely double paddle module. Now this is obviously a complete replacement for the paddle module you already get on Fanatec wheels. This can be applied to any circular rims, so for any kind of old sports car racing, or any Formula or GT style rims like the modern day ones, more like a flight yoke style. They can also be applied on those. However, there is a compatibility list on what exact wheels from Fanatec these are made for, so go and check that on their website just to double check before you go and buy it. So let's unbox this, apply it to our lovely wheel, and then we'll be doing some tests in different simulators afterwards to see how we get on. So I'm a big fan of Simube's packaging. Obviously, we've had quite a few of their products before on the channel now, and yeah, this packaging is just nice, simple, and straight to the point. So opening the package, we have our paddle modules, and this is obviously the clutch paddle here. So you have the bigger ones, which is more for the circular style rims, and then you have your shorter paddles, which are basically direct replacements for these, which are already installed on the wheel for the more GT style and prototype wheels. Now you can see if you do get them side by side, once I get them out of the packaging, because it's a bit difficult, that there is a clear height difference. It's quite cool that they have the plus and the minus like kind of carved out on it. I'd have liked that on the shorter ones, but obviously there's not a lot of real estate that you're working with here, so I understand why they haven't done that. Now, according to Simube, I'm going to quote directly from their website here. This is CNC'd machine aluminium casing and 3mm thick carbon fiber paddle plates, combined with magnetic shifters and single analog paddle, deliver the highest quality and most authentic operating experience. So yeah, these are apparently 3mm thick carbon fiber paddle plates. So underneath our lovely plates, we have the module itself. Obviously, these are quite self-explanatory. Your bottom one is going to be for your clutch, which is this one. And then you're going to have your shifter here as well. So you got your right and then your left for the other side. And then all your tools nicely provided. So we need to begin our installation, first of all, by taking off. All right, now that we have the plates off, we need to begin by taking off the actual shifter module. So to do that on these Fanatec Formula Club Sport, your wheels may differ. So I definitely look on the Fanatec website, but I've done some homework and research, and the Fanatec Formula wheels are very easy to do so. So all we have to do is just take off these two bottom screws here where the three buttons are, this plate on the back here, and then our paddle modules are just plugged into there. So we have just to unplug, slowly and carefully undo the screws and then pull them out and then do it all back together nicely. And hopefully we don't break anything in the process. That's the main thing. All right, now that we have those two screws out, so if we just put the wheel like this, you'll see that this kind of easily just comes off. And then you'll have your PCB board there, and it literally says APM right and APM left. So as you're looking at the wheel, this will be the right and this will be the left, obviously. So all we have to do is just carefully unplug these. That's one and that's two. Right, now that they are unplugged, we need to get our bigger Allen key and we need to undo. Each paddle module should have two screws. Hopefully you can see that on the top down camera. Two screws here and on the other side, two screws there. So we have to undo those, and then the provided package inside Simube has all the screws. So I'd recommend using these ones that they give you and not reusing any screws that you've been taking off your Fanatec wheel. So make sure you keep them nice and separate. So this is going to be annoying. No, it's not. Nice and easy. All right, so we've got the left side off, nice and easy. Obviously the magnet just instantly got that screw there. And then we just carefully pull that through. he says, while it's being a bit troublesome. There we go. Carefully pull that through. All right, that's one. We got the left side off. Now we have to do the same for the right. No, get off. Carefully pull that through. Nice. So we have our nice and naked Fanatec. God, it looks so weird without that, doesn't it? It really just doesn't look right. It looks so cursed. Okay, so now that we have the Fanatec module off, we're going to put our paddles onto the new modules from Simube here, and then we'll attach them onto our wheel to make it nice and easy. All right, there we go. There's our first one in. Nice. We have both screws in. So obviously you want to make sure you do these nice and tightly. So mid-endurance race, your your paddle doesn't just fly off and then you can't upshift anymore. So get that done nice and tight. And yeah, like I said, because it's recessed on one side, you guys want to make sure. So now it just sits nice and flush, basically, inside the actual paddle itself. And then we put our lovely kind of bronze, copper, gold kind of paddle, clutch paddle underneath it as well. We'll put that there. There is our nice paddle module. So you have your clutch here that you'll be pulling, going into first gear, and then, you know, slowly letting go of the clutch, or depending on what car you're in, letting it go. So now that we have both of these paddles on, we can slowly get the wheel and carefully thread our cable through. Obviously make sure that you're putting the right paddle module onto the right side of the wheel and vice versa. And obviously when you plug them in, the PCB is nicely labeled and it'll tell you which one's right and left. You don't want to upshift when you downshift and downshift when you upshift. Otherwise that would be a hilarious prank to pull on someone, but not great what you want for yourself, really, is it? And also you want to make sure you pick up all of the slack that's left, so there's nothing kind of behind your wheel hanging over. You want to tuck it all in this kind of the body of the wheel, so make sure you pull on all the slack. And again, just a reminder, you want to make sure you do these really nice and tight. Obviously don't overdo it and just be mad and kind of add some cracks into the casing of the wheel, but you want to make sure they are tight, that when you're going to be doing these endurance races, if you're doing 12, 24, 6s, whatever, that they're not going to get flimsy halfway through your stint. But yeah, that is our paddle module on nice. And we have our clutch paddle as well. So that sits nice and offset from it. So obviously when you're racing, you are not going to mistakenly hit that. Your kind of your hand and your finger kind of gets stopped here. So it's just, I'd imagine, a bit of a safety measure rather than thinking that that's part of the thing and you're pressing clutch thinking that you're going to upshift and you've just lost 10 places in your race. So yeah, that is our right side paddle module done. So now we have to do all of the same things basically for the left side. A nice clonk there because obviously there is magnets inside, and the clutch is done with a Hall effect sensor. So now I can do these Porsche Cup starts and, you know, feel like I'm an actual racer when I'm not. I'm just sitting in my bedroom racing cars. So yeah, we're going to get everything on the rig and hopefully I'll give you guys a little demo of how they work. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's jump over to the rig. So here I've loaded up iRacing, and on the Fanatec software, I've programmed the exact bite point for the Porsche Cup car. So you can see in the telemetry that once I let go of the right paddle, the left clutch paddle kept exactly at the bite point and the car starts to roll. Now the idea for clutch paddles is that you get the perfect starts with minimal or to no wheel spin at all in the car. Compare it to doing it by my foot on the clutch pedal, you can see that the car doesn't really get the power down as smooth as you want. Now don't get me wrong, these aren't going to win you races, but they will net you maybe a few positions at the start if you get away cleaner than some other racers. Now, of course, like everything, it will take some practice to get these right and smooth each time, but once you do, you can just fly off the line. Lastly, I wanted to test how it would fare against another known starting tactic, which is just holding the brake and letting go at the start. So it's not exactly going to make you P1 before turn 1, but it helps with cleaner starts and, more importantly for me, the immersion of it all. And same thing here on LMU as well. Now, I haven't found the right bite point for the LMGT3 cars on LMU, but still, even with just one clutch paddle, you're able to have more finesse coming out of your pit box and getting back into the race. So I hope this video gave you a bit of an insight to the Simube double paddle module. If you have enjoyed it, please remember to drop a like on the video and subscribe to my channel to see more sim racing videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.